Victoria, we have a lot of not repeat guests, but repeat topics on here, whether it's through marketing or whatever, sales, whatever. You are a very unique guest. We have not covered this topic at all. And that's why I'm so curious about it. And I think a lot of our listeners will be, especially those that are just starting out and are really trying to find their way and trying to figure out their path. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to become a hypnotherapist and a personal development coach? Let's start there. Then I have so many other follow-up questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny, you know, how like when I find myself in these groups of people that have never heard of hypnosis, and it feels so second nature to me because I hang around with, you know, a lot of my hypnosis friends. And, but anyway, there was a time when it was, you know, not so second nature. And that was when I was a stockbroker about 25 years ago. I found myself, just, you know, doing this for about 6 years and, really just kind of feeling at the end, like burnt out. I thought this was going to be my career that I was going to retire from. And my father was a stockbroker for like 35 years. And it just, you know, really hit me hard when I just sort of lost my passion for it.
Can I say that the idea of being a stressed out stockbroker isn't shocking?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and it's stressful in its own ways. Like I was very lucky. I was very fortunate to work during a time when the market was just going up, up, up. So I just looked like a rock star as far as, you know, managing portfolios went. But I just wasn't like feeling passionate about like what I was doing and having to, you know, dial for dollars every day, get on the phone, making my 50 contacts, you know, and all the sales and marketing and everything that goes with that. And so I found myself in a personal development class over 4 days. And it was like during this time where like the lights just turned on. And I realized that in this class, what they were teaching was what I wanted to be when I grow up. I decided, you know, like I want to be the seminar leader. I want to teach people what they can do to, you know, make their dreams come true and manifest success and be happy and fulfilled and all of that. But I didn't quite know what that looked like. And so I sort of went on a little bit of a journey from there. A couple of years into it, I found myself writing these meditations and recording them and listening to them. And that's when the lights kind of went on again. And I decided I wanted to bring personal development into the comfort of your own home through these meditative recordings, which I would eventually sell on my website. And, you know, I ended up kind of in a crossroads where when I was doing this and my branch manager where I was a stockbroker gave me an ultimatum. And this is before I was even making any money at all in my new business. I started an office. I started advertising. I started doing all these things, but I wasn't yet at the point where I was making any money. Yet I was making like a 6-figure income, you know, as a stockbroker. And he gave me an ultimatum and told me I had to make a decision. And so right on the spot, you know, like over a 30-day period of time, I had to make a decision that would eventually, like, it would just change the whole trajectory of my life. And it was the best decision I ever made. It was a struggle for the first like year and a half, you know, to build myself up. But, you know, it was 25 years ago, 1999. And, you know, as you can see, I've gone on to become a best-selling author and have my own app and coaching courses, built this whole personal development empire, not knowing that was going to be the path that I was going to choose, but it was the best decision I ever made.
Victoria, I feel like you're so inspirational for so many people in our audience because we have a lot of like closeted aspiring solopreneurs who are still in their jobs and they haven't vocalized, like they have that dilemma of, okay, I'm making great money, I'm providing for my family, but man, am I burnt out? Man, I could care less about going into the office. And I feel like you're giving them that, like, I can do this. moment, but I do have a question. So you do the coaching, but you're a hypnotherapist, and a lot of people, and if you're watching right now, think that the hypnotherapist is the one that gets up on stage and makes people do crazy things and balk like a chicken in front of a crowd. Like, can you debunk some of these myths and talk about like the hypnotherapy that you do and the science behind it, just so that people know what we're actually talking about and that it's not a Vegas show?
Absolutely. And that is one of the things you always get because of the stage shows, which is very much a real part of the hypnosis, but it's not telling the whole story. It's just really that's for entertainment purposes. And so, in hypnosis, it's really quite the opposite of what it looks like when you see the stage show. All that's really happening is the conscious mind is speaking to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is speaking back to the conscious mind. So it's like the two parts of your mind are now in communication. And so, you're able to accept and receive suggestions that are for your benefit. Now, when you're on stage, of course, all of that stuff, it's the same thing. It's just that the people that are on stage, they're there. They know why they're there. They know why they raised their hand and volunteered. And so that's like actually the first level, the first stage of getting that person into trance. It's just very psychological. Like they've already psychologically like prepared themselves for what they're about to do. But when you go into hypnosis, you don't lose control. That's like one of the biggest fears is people feel like, oh, the hypnotist is going to make me do something against my will. But you're actually more in control. When you go into hypnosis, you're actually more aware. You hear like one of the other myths is like, you're going to just completely zone out and not be aware of anything. You actually are listening more intently. So you will, like one of the things when I take somebody out of hypnosis, they say, I'm not sure if I was hypnotized because I heard every word you said. And it's one of those funny things because before I put somebody into trance, I always tell them, you're going to hear every word I say. And so you're just much more attentive, much more aware. But all that's happening is that your brain waves are slowing down, going from a normal waking beta stage, going into alpha, then going into theta. And when you're in that theta brainwave state, your subconscious mind is much, much more receptive to receiving the suggestions. But it is still going through your conscious aware filters, and you're able to say, I don't really resonate with that suggestion, so I'm going to toss that one out. Oh, this one, I really like that suggestion. I'm going to embrace that. And so that's a little bit more, really how it works versus what you think that you're seeing when you're watching a stage show.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And I knew there was more, but just for the general population, I didn't know if people did.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So what do you do with your clients to get them into these different states? I mean, we see the person holding the locket or whatever, and I mean, and I just what is it? Is it just a speaking exercise kind of thing, or is there something else?
Yeah, so all you really need is your ears, and you don't need to actually watch anything. They used to do that back. I mean, there's so many different stages of when hypnosis became a thing, and this eye fixation is something that can produce the trance state. But we no longer do watches typically. Usually, it's just getting mental and physical relaxation. So the first thing is, we just use, some words to relax the body. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, think about each area of your body relaxing. So we just relax them physically. And then we relax them mentally. Usually it's like a count backward from 10 to 1, or imagine yourself on the beach, or imagine yourself going down the stairs. And so we'll produce more of like a mental relaxation. And once we have both physical and mental relaxation, then, there's some tests that we'll do, like, imagine that your eyes are, just shut so tightly shut that you would not be able to open them. And it's like a little eye test. And we, ask them to try to open their eyes and find that you cannot. Now, this is really a test of the imagination as well, because like a person physically, it's not like you physically like cannot open your eyes, but you're just sort of like, it just lets us know that you're in agreement, you're in rapport, you're responding well. And once we have done that little test, it's all suggestions from there. And now we know we've got a open mind, and the suggestions are going to go right into exactly where we want them to go.
And you said you put them into these theta brainwaves. Now, how does that compare with sleep? What is sleep?
So sleep is one more level down, and that's called delta. So delta,
and that's
your
slower.
brainwaves,
is that slower? Like slower?
It's the slowest.
Frequency? Yeah. Okay.
And then next level below that is death. So
avoid that.
You have 0 brainwaves when you're dead. You're 0 to 4 hertz when you're in delta. And then you're like 4 to say 8 hertz when you're in theta. And then, your brainwaves can go all the way up to like 30 hertz when you're in like gamma, which is, we rarely even talk about that, but like athletes that are like in, play on the field, they're like super, super high focused and alert. They're in this super state called gamma.
So hertz, just to clarify, is the vibrations per second.
Exactly.
So 0 to 4 vibrations per second. So, that's great. Thank you. I just wanted to get oriented around, I always feel like somebody put me in a couch, got me comfortable, and made me count backwards. I'd probably end up in sleep state. So
you very well might. A lot of times that does happen when we put people into trance. They get, so deep. And when you're with somebody, that's one of the benefits of actually having somebody live in your office, because you can keep an eye on them. You can notice their breathing. You can notice their responses, their eyes, and you can, kind of gently nudge them back up to the theta, because that really is the most ideal state. You don't have to be in theta. You can also just as well be in alpha, which is the next level up. But theta is the most ideal state. Sleep, you're just not responding and you're not hearing the suggestions. And so it's a little too deep.
So I want to tie all this back to our listeners, because they're probably like, wow, this is really cool. This is really interesting. How can solopreneurs benefit from this? What could they use this for in their business?
There are thousands of reasons why a solopreneur could use this in their business. For one, don't solopreneurs like typically deal with having a hard time believing in their business succeeding, self-doubt, they get stressed out.
Imposter
syndrome, confidence, motivation, the limiting beliefs. So many people, come into their adulthood having dealt with so many negative suggestions being programmed into them, either by the kids in school or by their parents. And so you can use hypnosis for all of those things to rid yourself of many beliefs, abundance beliefs that you might have, beliefs that you have about fear of success, productivity, just doing the thing that you need to do, creativity, like not knowing what to do. You can tap in to your intuition and allow your intuition to guide you to figure out what it is that you need to do. It is limitless as to all the different things that you can work on as an entrepreneur through, changing your changing your mindset, about it. A lot of, are you going to be more successful if you have, negative thoughts or positive thoughts about what you're doing? Just changing your whole mindset around, just being able to believe in yourself. And that's like, to me, like that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest key to success is you got to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, so let's talk about like that and some actionable takeaways that people can do. What are like some self-hypnosis? I'm assuming you can do that. Self-hypnosis techniques that solopreneurs can use to, let's go with productivity as an example.
Well, I think probably and just doing this on your own, probably one of the best ways that you can use hypnosis on your own is through the use of visualization and affirmations. So say that you are, just having a hard time, getting through a project that you've been working on. And maybe it's something that you need to have your own motivation to bring forth. Or maybe it's just something that you're really trying to manifest from outside of you, something that needs to happen. And so by taking yourself into a state of hypnosis each day, and I actually backing up from that, I would recommend that you write out the perfect scenario that you would like to see happen. So let's just say you've got a busy, week of maybe creating a bunch of content. All of us entrepreneurs, we all need to get on social media and make those videos. And maybe you're feeling a little shy, feeling not sure of yourself, and you need to do that. So you write out what would this perfect week look like? And you write it out. You write out what you'd be saying to yourself. You write out what actually would happen. Maybe you'd be getting a bunch of orders. Maybe you would be getting a lot of coaching clients coming in, whatever business you're in, whatever the success looks like. And you write out that perfect scenario. And then you take yourself into 15 minutes or so daily of self-hypnosis, and you just visualize that thing happening. And while you're visualizing that happening, you just say to yourself, I am, I deserve this success. I am feeling more and more confident about my ability to achieve these goals. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. I love it when I have a productive day. I'm feeling more and more confident. There's just all kinds of affirmations that you can say to yourself while you're visualizing it. And this just can help you with so many different aspects of what is it that you need? Do you need to feel motivated? Do you need to feel confident? Where are you really feeling the need for that hypnosis to come in? And these are the suggestions. This is what you want to visualize yourself actually doing. When you have, I want to explain why this visualization works. When you visualize yourself in a realistic way, having the success, having done what you are setting out to achieve, your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So for example, if I tell you to close your eyes and imagine a big, fat, juicy, yellow, bright lemon, and then you're cutting that lemon in half, and you're cutting it again, and you're taking that lemon and you're bringing it up to your mouth. And then what starts to happen is you start salivating. And that's because the subconscious mind doesn't know that there's not a lemon there. And it's the same thing when you have done the thing that you need to do in your mind. You do it over and over and over again. Athletes do this. They see themselves in their sport being able to, run the fastest mile, to be able to jump those hurdles, to be able to do that gymnastic flip, whatever it is. Same thing for entrepreneurs. You see yourself like, okay, I made that video. Okay, I wrote that chapter in that book. Okay, I already did that. And your subconscious mind thinks you already did it. And so it's going to give you the way and the action steps, and it's going to encourage you, and it's just going to be much more easy and effortless for you to take the steps that you need to take.
So all of this is kind of reminding me, I remember on a college road trip, a friend of mine and I were going down from Sacramento to Los Angeles, and we listened to The Secret. And in my head, I kept hearing thoughts become things and that British accent and everything. You talk a lot about the law of attraction. And can you kind of let people know what that is, walk us through it? Because I feel like you're alluding to this without actually talking about it.
Yeah, so much. And I call myself the law of attraction hypnotist because it's just so integrated in me to mix hypnosis with the law of attraction. And the way that I like to define law of attraction is that you draw to you the opportunities, situations, circumstances, people, results that you are in alignment with. And when I say alignment, your thoughts are predominantly going toward that area. Your feelings, your vibration is predominantly in alignment with as if you already had that thing. What you're visualizing, what you're imagining is that exact scenario. And of course, the actions that you're taking are in alignment with you already having that. And so as you think, you feel, and as you feel, you're going to act. And as you act, you're going to create those results. And there's not really any woo-woo or, mystical powers at play here. It's really quite common sense, I think, but it's the kind of common sense, people are just, they need to believe in themselves in order for all of that, like a lot of times, people say, well, what if I keep doing this and keep taking these actions, and then I'm just not going to get the success? You will. You just have to be committed and consistent and disciplined and persistent in order to create that, happening. But it's like your thoughts that are telling you to stop or to go. And so that's why thoughts ultimately do become things, because you keep telling yourself, oh, it's never going to happen. Don't, all of that. That's what you're going to create. And at the same time, if I tell myself, I can do this, I deserve this, I'm willing to put in the work, I'm willing to stick with it until, you will create that.
Which reminds me of a very, very unethical research project that was done where they took a bunch of kids in the same grade and they split them into the higher performing kids in one class and the lower in the other, but told the lower performing kids they were the smart kids and the higher performing kids that they weren't performing. And the results were the expectations, not the actual skills. So the historically poor performing students performed better than the high performing students because of the expectations. Yeah. And if we don't have those expectations of ourselves, then, of course we're gonna sabotage ourselves.
Absolutely. It was interesting too, because just recently in the last couple of weeks, I saw an old movie just brought back to life because my husband had never actually seen the whole thing. It was Trading Places. And it's like the same, kind of concept. They just put somebody into an environment, and they traded environments, and that environment expected them, because your environment also can really have an impact if you let it. You really have to have a pretty strong mindset to go against what's happening all around you.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I assume you practice what you preach with all of this. And so I'm so curious, like, what are some of your daily habits that you practice to stay on top of your game?
Oh, yeah. So I have a pretty long, luxurious daily habit. Luckily, I, work from home, have a pretty nice home with my meditation room and my studio. And so my habit starts at 5 o'clock. I love to get up before everybody else with, the birds still singing. And now it's actually light out at 5, but a lot of times it's dark, and literally the first thing I do go downstairs and I make a pot of coffee.
Coffee.
Love my coffee throughout the day. But then while that's brewing, I go upstairs and I always start off with a silent meditation. So I would just want to get control over my mind by just quieting down, all the thoughts. Then I do some hypnosis. Sometimes it's only 5 minutes. Sometimes it's, half an hour. I'll do back-to-back sessions, on, 5 minutes of success, visualize your goals, manifest abundance, whatever it is, and so I'll take about, half an hour or so to do some hypnosis. From there, I do some reading, and then from there, I do some journaling. And in the journal, that can be anything from, writing out what I'm grateful for. I just really find that, talking about gratitude is one surefire way to really elevate your vibration, and just to bring about that feeling of positivity. When you focus on what you have, you just tend to attract more of what you want. And so anyway, I'll practice some gratitude. Sometimes I'll do, some repetitive affirmations like the 55 by 5s. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's basically you take 5 days and you write out the same affirmation 55 times. And it's just one of those ways to just beat it into your head, so because, hypnosis is 30 minutes. So I'll do hypnosis for 30 minutes, but then I want to bring that out into my beta waking state as well, and just beat it into my head that way. And then after my 2 hours in my meditation room, I'll go out. We have beautiful hiking. I'm in Phoenix. So we have beautiful hiking all around. And so I'll go for, 45-minute to hour and a half hike. I'll listen to some audiobooks. I usually listen to some of the oldies but goodies, like the Think and Grow Rich, and the Science of Getting Rich, or even The Power of Now is just another one that I just love. Any Joe Dispenza, I just, love listening to any of that, while I'm moving. And then sometimes I even, go out and I talk to the cactus. I know this kind of sounds weird, but I will say my affirmations out loud while I'm walking, while I'm in a state of moving. So I do that with
my dog. That's my dog. I do it with my dog.
You do that with...
What's funny, you say this is like nice and luxurious, and it is to have that time is great. But it's like everything you're talking about, you're still done by what, 9 a.m. for the rest of the day?
I'm done by 9.
Yeah.
And, so it's like it's a 4-hour, it's like a 4-hour little mini retreat every morning, but it's like, this is what it takes, to, for me, to like produce at the level that I produce. And I try to be very, very productive, throughout the day. I think from the 9 o'clock to 7, I will put myself into Pomodoros. And so I will write out, 2 hour worth of Pomodoros, take a break for half an hour, another 2 hours worth of Pomodoros. I don't, for your audience that doesn't know what they are, it is just like a method for keeping you super, super focused and super, super productive. And, so it's, you work on one thing without any other distractions for 25 minutes, which doesn't seem like a lot of time, but you can accomplish so much in 25 minutes when you are 100% dedicated and focused on that. Because oftentimes, and I know for myself, if I'm not in a Pomodoro, it's like I go around the world with all kinds of things. I'll go check Facebook, I'll check my email, I'll check Slack, I'll check my orders, I'll check this, I'll check, how many people have downloaded my app, blah, 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 and then by the time I'm done checking everything, I'm back to the beginning again. It's like, oh, well, maybe something's changed, and so it's easy to just, and meanwhile, you think you're working on this, but you're not really working on it. So 25 minutes at a time, 25 minutes and then 5 minutes of a break. And it's just one of these things where your mind can only really stay focused on a certain task for that 25-minute period of time without really needing a break. It's an intense focus. And so it's 25 on, 5 minutes off. You do that 4 times in a row. That takes you 2 hours. Then you take a longer break for anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. And I work like that throughout the day. On a really, really productive day, I'll do 4 of those and put in an honest 8 hours. And that, an honest 8 hours is like, typically I get more work done than you can get done in a week.
Yeah. It's so funny. The technique I've been using that along the Pomodoro lines is, and I put this on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago and it got so much traction, but I will unplug my laptop and I have to get everything done before the battery dies. And
I love that. I love that technique.
I will focus, and I don't want to go to 100%. Like, I don't start at 100, but if it's at like 50%, I'll be like, okay, now it's time to focus. And I have to get it done before my computer dies. And it is crazy how hyper focused I get with and I mean, obviously, like practically, I can go plug it in at any time. But mentally, I just tell myself I can't. And then it's a race against the clock.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT to name this method. You have the Pomodoro method with the timer. We got to come up with a good name for this one, Carly.
Method.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't need ChatGPT for
we'll
that.
Get original.
the dying laptop method.
Well, Victoria, I have to ask you, for your morning practice, do you go for your hike at 7 a.m. because that fits into your routine, or out of necessity because you live in Phoenix?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of both. I'm kind of one of those weird people that like actually really enjoys the heat. So, if it's even 100 degrees out, that doesn't stop me. Usually I have to kind of pull the plug at 105. That's usually, I'll still go out for a walk, even if it's 120 degrees, but I'm not going to go into the desert at 120. Like 105 is about the limit for going into the desert. But
a wise choice, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of controversial because, they do have to save a lot of people, and it takes a lot of time and energy for them to go out there and pluck these people up that have passed out, from dehydration or heat exhaustion. And I did get a little warning, I will say, a couple of weeks ago. I got a little heat exhaustion. I knew it was just bizarre because I felt like, I'm kind of going a little bit off topic here, but you have to, use a little bit of self-awareness sometimes.
Well, to get us back on topic, I just want to know, for people just starting out, what parting words of advice would you have for everything that you do?
Oh, let's see. The parting advice I would give is to stay committed and to know that, it's not perfection, but it's progress. Not every day is going to be the best day ever. And, you're allowed to have some bad days. You just need to pick yourself back up, and realize, you're going to get knocked down sometimes, but you just got to get right back up. Because it's just part of the journey. It's part of the growth. It's part of what's making you, and it's part of what's making you stronger. And if you had the idea, then you came equipped with the instruction manual deep inside of you to bring that idea to fruition. And I strongly believe that. So don't ever reject yourself because you think like, oh, this is a crazy idea. No, that idea is meant for you. That's why you had it. And so I would, encourage anyone who has an idea. This is the best possible journey that you could ever be on, is the journey of being an entrepreneur, solopreneur. It really is. And it's the best personal development journey. It's going to take you in places, to places that you never knew you can do. And so I encourage you to stay persistent, stay determined, stay committed, and believe in yourself.
Victoria, are you a solopreneur?
I am. I mean, I guess
Cool.
By definition, I am. I do have virtual assistants and people.
Yeah, that's
Counts.
Yeah, so I would definitely say I am.
We discourage solopreneurs that stay completely solo.
Yeah.
It's a good path to be made crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Victoria,
Absolutely.
you are no doubt going to help people find success with everything you've discussed. So we ask all of our guests this question: what is your favorite quote about success?
I have one of my favorite quotes, and I wrote it down here, so because it's a little bit of a longer one, but it is my favorite quote by Goethe, and it's, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would have never otherwise occurred. And if you can dream, then you can do it."
I know why you wrote it down. You didn't want to memorize that? But
I have. That's been my favorite quote forever, and I've never been able to memorize it no matter what I do. It's a longer one.
I totally understand why it's your favorite quote, and thank you for sharing that. We'll put that in the show notes. And Victoria, this has just been so interesting. I love that we've dabbled in this. Like I said, we haven't before. So if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so they can follow me on social media at LOA Hypnotist, Victoria M. Gallagher, or Believe Hypnosis. You can also check out my Believe app. Just go to the app stores. That would be the best way, really, go to the app stores, download my Believe Hypnosis app, because from there you'll get indoctrinated into my whole world and introduce you to all the things, my books, my courses, and coaching, and you name it.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on this show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure. You ask great questions, and I'm honored to be a guest on your show. So thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you, Victoria.
And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today, and viewers. I always forget the video. We love putting on this content for you. This is one of the highlights of our week, and we would love to keep doing that. And so we would so appreciate a review, 5 stars, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to YouTube, all of the above. We would so appreciate it. And otherwise, we will see you next week on The Aspiring Solopreneur.